Vielen Dank, Pascal Finette. Und nun kommen wir zu einer weiblichen Speakerin, und zwar aus Indien. Die Rede ist von Swati Bhattacharya. Sie ist Indiens erste weibliche Chefkreative. Swati findet, Marken müssen Hoffnung wecken und unser Leben bereichern. Sie ist Humanistin, denn ihre Arbeit dreht sich um die Schönheit der menschlichen Existenz, ihre Herausforderungen, ihre Tragödien. Sie basiert auf der menschlichen Kultur und der Einsicht, dass Marken nur dann Relevanz schaffen können, wenn sie Hoffnung wecken. Und sie hat noch viel mehr gemacht. Sie hat mit ihren Kampagnen ganze Denkweisen, religiöse Verkrustungen und sogar Gesetze verändert. Und das mit Kommunikation. Swati ist eine ganz tolle Frau. Ich hatte das große Glück, sie mehrfach in Jurys kennenzulernen. Sie ist imposant, unglaublich nett, herzlich und ein toller Mensch. Ich freue mich auf Swati.
Hi, this is Swati Bhattacharya from FCB India, and such a big honor and such a big privilege to be speaking to the Art Directors Club. And, I met Dirty a few years back when we were judging Clio, and because of her, I could see all the great work that comes out of Germany. And then later, I had like my eyes open, that this piece of this, the shopper market work or what you guys did with the Adidas. So it's really, really big privilege. And I can't even imagine that you guys are familiar with my work and I have been asked to speak. Today, I want to speak to you about, can truth or can authenticity be used as a creative tool as work gets born? Now, I understand that sometimes people feel, why does advertising have to make such a heavy weather, and does advertising have to really, if advertising is changing the world, then what are the politicians going to do? But I think, where my truth lies is I just want my brands to be loved and liked. And for brands to be loved and liked, you have to forge a kind of intimacy with your consumer, with the person who is connecting with you through a screen. And that's why, and for authenticity, truth is important. And once you get that thing going, what you are trying to do is create a relationship which is between a buyer and a seller, but a relationship that's made up of truth. So let me tell you about the first big campaign, which was a big global success, which is Shindur Kala. How did that happen? So Times of India is India's #1 newspaper. But India is like so huge, and there are, the east of India, the west of India, and somewhere in the east of India, Times of India hadn't made a foray as the Bengali newspaper, because in the province of Bengal, there were other English newspapers like Statesman and Telegraph. And they thought of Times of India as an alien North Indian newspaper. So when Times of India came to us with the brief that we want to connect with our Bengali leaders, which is, as population goes, is close to 400 million. How do we do that? And I think, for me, I started to think, oh God, how does one enter a market and be seen as a Bengali newspaper, even though everybody knows that this newspaper is from Bombay and from, it's headquartered in Bombay. So there was a Bengali festival just round the corner called Durga Puja. And Durga Puja is like the biggest, it's like the Mardi Gras meets Christmas, and all Bengalis are, for 5 days, they don't eat at home, everybody is out, and a big social festival. And on the last day of the festival is like the piece de resistance. That's what all Bengali women love, which is the vermilion game called the Shiddur Kala. And, or every woman dresses up in the morning and like they wear the white and red sari and they, smear vermilion on each other. And it's really like a very, very, very beautiful game. But till the time I got divorced, I didn't really realize that, oh my God, this is a privilege only given to married women. And even when my mother became a widow, I realized she wouldn't be coming with me to play Shiddur Kala, but I thought, in a way we are following tradition. But the fact that in this tradition was, something so discriminatory, and till it happened to me, I hadn't realized the pain involved. That because now that you are divorced, you can't dance, but you can watch. And as in one of these festivals, when I was a watcher, I saw everybody who belonged to my camp, the unmarried women, the divorcees, the widows, same-sex couples. And that's why I thought, will Times of India be so brave to talk to Bengalis about something which is so intimate to them? And if the client actually buys this idea, then we are truly talking to Bengalis because we have picked up something from their culture and we are asking them to solve it. So that was, I felt that was like, okay, a great starting point. It also made me very nervous because I knew that I am doing something with religion and in a country which is going through a very strong right-wing government. I didn't know whether the client would agree. But, in the beginning, the client was shocked. He said, no, this is a happy festival. What you're trying to do is actually, bring some sadness, and can't we do something else? But there was a woman client, Somali, and this campaign wouldn't have happened if she didn't adopt it. And that's why what Somali brought into it was, let's, why don't newspapers only talk to men? There are women readers too, and that is half the population. So there was a lot of pull and push. And then we got ready. And what was nice about our campaign was we weren't asking men to solve it. Often in India, when you're working on something about women, you want the father to take a selfie with the daughter, or you say the husband should be, he should give you the permission. Out here, we were directly talking to women. And we were just saying that, even though we are supposed to be one gender, look at the way we divide ourselves. The married feel a little superior to the unmarried. The divorcees feel a little better off than the widows. The widows, of course, look down upon the divorcees. Then, there is a whole thing between the transgender and the sex workers. So what happened was this particular piece of work asked all of us to come together, dance together, and become one. It was a very, very simple thing. We weren't asking anybody else. We were only talking to women, and we were, the line was, this time when we play, let no daughters stay away, because if we are all daughters of the goddesses. Now, as soon as this campaign came out, like we did it in two parts. One was an invitation, which was like a slam poetry, and we got like the actresses, LGBTQI, women, we got widows, and everybody to come and say that, let's play. And the biggest festival society in Calcutta, actually, when they saw the press ad where we had invited women, they actually called up Times of India and they said, yes, please start with us. That was like the best thing that could happen, because we had like the biggest supporters, in the form of this big temple society. I would like to share the work with you, just see how it impacted.
আমি খদ্দেরকে বসাই আর চড়া সাজে ঝলকাই গলি। মোটামুটি যতগুলো খারাপ ওয়ার্ড আছে জেট প্লেনের স্পিডে বলি। মাঝে মাঝে টাল খাই, জীবন হালকাই, শুধু চাউনির চোরা ঘেন্না। অ্যাড্রেস ঠিকই আছে, ওদিকটা ঘুরে যান, গলিটার ভিতর যাবেন না।
আমি কলকাতায় ছেলে থাকি, মুম্বাইয়ে হই মেয়ে। সকালে উঠে জুস করে নি, আমরা আজকে খাই।
আমি কোনাটাই পড়ে থাকি, আমার ছোট চুল, সাদা ধান, টিপিক্যাল দক্ষিণী, সিঙ্গারাও শুকিনি। রেডিও নিয়ে ঘুম যায়, বেড়ালকে কোল দি, খেয়ে নিয়ে জলদি।
ছাদ ঘেসে এক চুপে একা, কেঁদে ফেললে লোকে বলবে চিটিয়ার, এসে ফেললে ধু ন্যাকা।
আমার রকে আওয়াজ দেয় হোমো, আমি লেসবিয়ান।
আমার স্বামী ছেড়ে গেছে, ওভারিতে সিস্ট।
আমি রাত্রে ফুটপাথে শুই, দেব না জানোয়ারের লিস্ট।
কেউ থাকি কাছে, কেউ থাকি দূরে, চেনা গলি কেউ 3 পাক ঘুরে।
কারো মুখ মেরা মুখ, অ্যাসিডে মাখুয়ে।
সব উঠে আসছি ঢাক চাপা শুনে।
এই উৎসব যদি ত্রিভুবনে ছলকায়, নারী শক্তির জয়।
কিছু নারী বাদ দিয়ে আনন্দ আঁকা মানে ভেতর ভাঙা প্রত্যয়।
ঘুরবো ফিরবো, ঝেলবো ফেলবো, আমি এই পুজোয় সিঁদুর খেলবো।
ঘুরবো ফিরবো আকাশ ঠেলবো, আমি এ পুজোয় সিঁদুর খেলবো।
ঘুরবো ফিরবো পাখনা মুখ, আমি এই পুজোয় সিঁদুর খেলবো।
নেশার খেলা, নেশার খেলা,
সিঁদুর খেলতে হয়
কারণ এই উৎসব কাছাকাছি।
বাছাবাছি
বাছাবাছির নয়।
বাছাবাছি নয়।
Every year, 35 million Bengali women sing and dance to celebrate the power of Goddess Durga through a national festival called Sindoor Khela. But on one condition: no single women, no widows, no LGBTQ. Because this celebration of womanhood only welcomes married women. This year, the Times of India wanted to change this 400-year-old tradition of rejection into a celebration of acceptance. We transformed Sindoor, a sacred symbol of marital pride, into 2 dots, a new symbol of sisterhood. This became a rallying cry for the uninvited and unaccepted. A national call to action was released through a slam poetry film where the most influential Bengali women demanded acceptance.
আমি এই পুজোয় সিঁদুর খেলবো।
But in a country of thousands of gods and even more godmen, changing a tradition is never welcome.
This is female chauvinism. Widows in our country who have been treated akin to untouchables.
But nothing could stop this red wave.
A group of Indian widows have returned home to their home city of Kolkata.
Thousands of women came together to share the two dots in a historic celebration, and millions poured their heart out in support. Both men and women endorsed the two dots as a call for inclusivity. In the process of finding cultural relevance, the Times of India became the news that other newspapers covered. Bengalis did not just embrace the movement, they made the Times of India the most read English newspaper in their 90 million strong community. But more importantly, 50 temple societies opened their doors to women, dropping all labels and conditions.
So you see, how it affected the Bengali mind, how did it affect that Bengali heart? And no wonder, I think this year was the 4th year, and we don't even have to do anything now. It's like every year, and this time it was COVID, and still I saw, people with masks, and one of the transgender group themselves sent me lovely photos of when they were out at Sindoor Khela. So it has now been embraced. The idea is no longer with Times of India. It's no longer with FCB. It's with the Bengali people, and that is I think bigger than any award, because that's a real living thing. The second piece of work that I want to talk about, and I was thinking, should I, but I wanted to take a different brand so that I could show you that sometimes when you do something powerfully and truthfully, you might not even need that big brand. So the second piece of work is for a school called the Millennium School. It's a chain of schools in India. There are about 54 of them, and little, school for upper middle class, private school, where, rich middle class kids go. And they wanted to do a campaign in which, I could get, when I met the managing director of the school, Shantanu Prakash, I kind of felt that yes, he wants us to do a campaign for the school, but he also wanted us to create an ambition for the school, for the whole network, and not just for their school, but maybe for education, because his big interest is education, and he said, this is the problem with the country, that the kind of kids who get proper school education is like 18%. So what can we do? And I knew, like, okay, have to do something about Millennium School, but how do I carry the country along? Obviously, because it's a school, we don't have too much media money, like we can't afford big newspaper ads or a film that runs on TV. And I think somewhere very simply, because he kept talking about infrastructure, that the problem with village schools or schools in the slums is there's no infrastructure. The fact that women drop out of school because there are no toilets. And then, like, it came, how these things just come very, I don't know where they come from, but you get that thing that every day these schools, these private schools, after 2 p.m, become like dead land. They are these beautiful big structures, but they are dead from 2 p.m. till the next day, 7 o'clock, when children come in. And I went to Shantanu and said that, listen, you have 54 schools. Can you do that? And for the first time, I met a diversity officer who was being hired by the school. And I found that conversation like absolutely enthralling. And she said, yeah, let's do it. And let's get, all the teaching NGOs who actually teach children, in like garages, in some broken down shelters. What we can do is we can ask them to use our school and take some of our teachers and create a program. And that's how Open Door Project was born. And, because of Sindoor Khela, I have, now I have a place in my heart for sex workers, for LGBTQI community. And I started to go into, that what happens in these, in these huge areas where there are about 5,000 to 6,000 sex workers, and their children are also there, but there is no school. There is, just no school, not even a primary school in all these areas. So what we tried to do was we found that what is the closest, whether it's the red light district, whether it's a slum area, and we found which is the school that it would be the closest to them geographically, so that we could have a school bus system. And it's really sad that because of COVID, for last 1.5 years, everything is quiet. But before that, this was happening, and it was so easy. And, and when I was speaking to the diversity office, I always check how's it going. And she said, it's incredible, because they might be lost for 1 or 2 days, but by the third day, the kind of ownership that the kids feel that this is my school, my laboratory, my test tube, and that confidence, when it comes in that early, then you know that when they go into skill development, they will carry that confidence, because there is no feeling of being segregated. Because when you are being taught by an NGO in a broken down garage with no table, no chair, it kind of eats into the child's confidence system. So I feel that, look at this, look at the solve. The solve didn't require money. The solve didn't require, it's like you appeal to the heart of the brand. You appeal to the heart of the organization. And that's when things happen, really. And, in fact, for me also, I learned so much that so many times we kill ourselves thinking that the solution needs to be as complex as the problem.
Education in India, I call it a national emergency. There are 80 million kids who are on the streets. They should be inside classrooms right now. And this is not a problem that only the government can solve. Because I want to give these kids exactly the same educational standard that the so-called prestigious elite India gets. And this is the Open Door Project. Millennium Schools is a chain of schools. We educate 35,000 children. If you walk into a Millennium School at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll see it buzzing. But post 2 o'clock, the entire infrastructure falls silent. And then we decided that why don't we open our doors to kids from the community, from the neighborhood. These kids who are coming in the second shift take full advantage of the opportunity that's been given to them. This is the story of a sex worker's child who converts his mother's clients into teachers. Top national NGOs joined us, and that's how the mission got the momentum.
So Teach India has an access to volunteer teachers. The Open Door Project has access to volunteer schools. And when the two join hands, we have a perfect circle of knowledge.
This is just the beginning. I would want that the Open Door Project reaches out to thousands of underprivileged children across the country.
So this is nothing short of a revolution. And the impact that India is going to see with this is not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen 5 or 10 years later.
Yeah, so how to end my little talk? I think what I showed you in these 3 examples was, truth with its 2 cousins called simplicity and intimacy, are a creative tool that, is culture agnostic, is budget agnostic, it's location agnostic. You can create, work that will be remembered, work that will change people's lives. It'll make your brand look good in the boardroom, all by just keeping it simple, keeping it truthful, and enjoying the process while you're at it.
Absolutely fascinating. We are connected with you now lively, Dirte. We are connected with you, Swati.
Hi, Swati.
Absolutely amazing. May I share one thought from the web before maybe you ask the first question? Somebody says, Jennifer, it's a woman, she says, okay, let's stand up and applaud loudly to you because you can make everything happen. So this is this is reactions from Europe to you, Swati.
It'll make me cry. We are going through such a bad time right now that this kind of love just, I find it hard to keep it. Thank you. So nice to see you, Dirte, after so long.
Yeah, hi, Swati. I guess when I ask you how are you, you just said a little that is hard times in India and all around. I know what we are all, and you especially, going through. But so I'm so thankful that in these times you find the time to talk to us and answer questions. And I was so proud that you said yes to take part here, because it's so, you did amazing job. And the motto of us, as you know, is superpower creativity. So you are a superwoman of creativity. So thank you for being with us. And I don't want to interfere to the questions of the audience, but I want to ask you a first one, if I may, because in Germany, the gender discussion is a big one and diversity is a big one. So we have obviously in our country really, so we have only 12% of creative directors are female, which is a joke, right? So obviously it's very hard to come up in the hierarchy. And may I ask you an impolite question? How could you make it as a woman to be a CCO of FCB in India? What did you do? How did you make it?
I think I needed a woman to bring me here. If Susan didn't take a punt on me, if Susan
Cradle, for everybody who doesn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Susan Cradle. I mean, when I met her, I had no confidence for taking this job. So she had to work on me, and she used to write these letters, and I still keep them with me, and I read it every time I'm feeling low or not feeling too adequate. But not only did she give me this job, she also gave me some time to grow into it, because a CCO is a big job, and for someone with no experience, I didn't know whether I'll be able to do it. And she gave me that first year, she was just like this cushion, around, giving me time. And I guess that when somebody gives you an ecosystem, which helps your survival, we don't even know in the ways that this, things germinate and things can be born.
I'm, very impressed and thankful that you shared this information with us, because we could all have thought that you are a super power, like a man would do it. So that a woman helped you in this fantastic way, which you just described, is, hopefully inspiring people who watch to do the same.
And maybe this brings me to the first question. Your superpower strategy, how do you do it? How do you nail things down and bring people to follow your ideas? You have a purpose, no question. But what is your strategy? Do you search for like-minded 1, 2, 3 people at first? So how do you do it to really create this incredible impact at the end? How do you start?
So, in the beginning, because I'm usually dealing with men, and I don't go in saying, hello, this is your opportunity to do big feminist work, and I will do it. So in the beginning, I just listen to them, and I keep thinking, what is their ambition for their brand? And chances are, when you stay with that and you let it cook in your head, you realize that the brand also has a heart. And the heart always wants things good for humanity. Those are just, and I think once you find the heart of the brand, the story then comes very easily. How do you make someone, how do you tell them a story which will feel like that's my story too? Or how do you tell them a solution which brings out the activist in the watcher? I'm like, my limbs I'm a very lazy kind of a person, but what I like to do is try to push you to just go to do that,
Maybe I can resonate or relate to that, because where did you get that from, this spirit? Who was your role model, maybe in your family or in your community? So who influenced and inspired you?
So, my mom was she was a refugee from Bangladesh, and she got married at the age of 18 and had me at the age of 19. And it's almost like we both grew up together. And then she went and got herself, she studied mass communication. So I'm an only child with the working mother. So I had the two things that children need: a certain amount of, how do I say it? Is it boredom or isolation? And you have someone to look up to on a daily basis. And I think that kind of gave me, because I could always see my journey has been so much easier than my mom's. And I think that in a way always, that helped me to keep walking.
There's somebody from our audience who wants to know, is there a taboo you would never work on?
Yeah, lots. There are many things, I think, like fairness creams, because they were like such a big rage in India. I also feel I don't like to, when I like to talk to women, I like to talk to women. And I feel my brand has to allow that intimacy to happen. But brands that like to talk to women through, kind men and permissive men, but that I don't like. I love men, and I am a romantic feminist. And, I want men and women to walk together. But I think for men, women needn't go with their problems to men, because I think it's much better if we get together and solve it.
I love this expression of a Romanist feminist. We take that for the Congress this year and for the future female movement. So there's another question. Somebody says, deeply impressed by your work as a creative. How often do you have to convince clients, to really convince them to follow your intentions, to make their own journey from here to there?
Yeah. So that you have to do a lot. And I think, then you have to choose the right time to do work like this with them, because, there is a need in our, bread and butter work. And then there is a need when you tell them that, look, there is this festival coming, or you tell them that, look, at this time of the year, this is happening in the world. And you have to win their trust. They need to know that your brand is at the center of that creative person's life too. It's not that, I see the Cannes Lion every morning. I see my brand. And that has to be like a real thing.
And now let's imagine we have a world without COVID. It's another time. Let's go to the dream bar for a moment. Is there a project, a movement, anything, a client you would really love to work on, whatever means? Yeah, no question of money, of time, of what. Is there a dream you have to overcome?
Yeah.
What is it?
I mean, what I like is, and that I got from Millennium School, is that, if you have any brand, and that is why I don't now dream of budgets, or I don't really dream of big international brands, because for me, the meaning and authenticity to me comes from, from my partnership with the client, and that, that makes my dreams of a little different nature. Like, I don't sit there and say, if I could do Nike Women, or if I could do, like, those brands I love, I appreciate, but I'm very happy to do something small and simple and then watch it grow big. My ambition is never scale like that. But I enjoy the scale as a after effect.
And coming back to the education topic, can you tell us, if you are a creative in India? I don't have a clue at all. I never traveled to India, so I don't know about creative industries in India. So where would you draw people from? How do you generate teams around you? How do you do that?
Okay, so there are some really good advertising. There is a school called MICA. There's a school that I went to called IIMC. There are now many private schools. So a lot of the recruitment often happens, from institutes, but a lot of it, I guess, because of internet and, kids these days have like this, like an omnivorous intellect and omnivorous curiosity. And they are perfect for advertising. Advertising really doesn't expect anything out of you. You might not even have you might not even be a wordsmith. But if you have ideas and if you know how to connect, so that lookout is really nice, because it's a little bit like dating. You just don't know where you meet them, It just happens, and I like that little cosmic thing.
We thank you so much, Swati. It was such a delight, and it was really, we are so thankful for your wisdom, sharing it with us through the internet. We have a lot of people watching today and over our future. So thank you very much.
I just wanted to ask you one thing. Where are you guys sitting? It's like...
It's my home. No, it's not.
It's called...
We have... Sorry.
Can I take a picture?
It's a location in Hamburg, and it's a store with decoration and nice things. So we just put it together and then make it happen. But again, I want to thank you myself, Swati. I hope to see you soon again. And you are the superwoman of super creativity. So greetings to India. Take care. Big hug. See you soon.